All right, I am back with another podcast interview with one of my favorites, Steve Winchester, one of the lead trainers at the Monroe Institute. And we're going to talk about something that's super important and relevant now, if not ever. And it's about protection. I've been in the spiritual world for over 4 decades. And in this time, I've been around so many of us that are looking for ways to protect ourselves from negative energies. How do we protect ourselves? I need some black tourmaline. I need to wear the evil eye to keep evil away from me. And at my event in August, Steve spoke about protection at such a profound level that I thought this is a conversation I want to share with as many people as possible. And I love synchronicities. I love how upper management, God, the universe, the cosmos drops in and lets us know we're not alone. I get the Bible verse of the day. I get one a day randomly, and I want to read what I received this morning, already knowing Steve and I scheduled this call a few weeks ago. And this morning it was, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. And you don't need to be Bible or Christian or follow that. What we're going to talk about today, I believe, will serve you in this whole idea that you need to protect yourself. You need to put something out there. And so, Steve, if you're ready, I'd love for you to share within this context of this need to protect ourselves from these bad things. You know, I have done the Monroe Institute with Steve. I did the Gateway experience. It was so beautiful and lovely. One of the things I love and appreciate about Gateway and Monroe is they do have a protection ritual that you do as you go to higher states of consciousness and explore there. And it was the most just peaceful, sweet practice that I've ever experienced, and I just loved it. And so I've had some conversations with Steve about this, and I thought, this is too good to keep to myself. I want to share it with more people. And so, Steve, can you talk a little bit about this feeling that many of us feel like as we get heightened in our consciousness, we become more aware, raise our frequency, we might experience fear or the feeling of entities or evil things, and how do we protect ourselves? I'd love to just pass it over to you and let you share your wisdom here.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that your verse of the day is an absolute truth.
Yeah.
It identifies with the Lord, but it's a universal truth in that man is where all the fear comes from. And it is a trap, and we all scare each other. And most of the time, it's all stories in our head. And the first thing that I wanted to say in this conversation is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Everybody's heard that. But the reality of that is that our time here is very temporary, but in reality, what we really are beings of light that were here in the beginning of creation. We'll be here if it ever ends. We're going to follow us through all the way. So in that mindset, that's one of the things we teach at Monroe, is that you are more than your physical body. And once you know that, not believe that, but know that, and many people do come away from the Gateway knowing that, because they actually have a separation of the energy body from the physical body, or even better, the astral body separation awareness. So once you get that knowing in you, then you know your true power, and your indestructibility, that you cannot be destroyed, you cannot be harmed. And we teach that at Monroe. We do it because people are grown up with a bunch of fears of what has happened to them in their life, and what happens to them creates caution. And our left brain, we talk a lot at Monroe about the left and the right brain. The right brain is that creative part of us that is present and all encompassing of all things. But that left brain is that little calculating computer that's saying, this looks like something that happened to me a while back, and that's got something bad's going to happen by my own experience from before. And that kind of thinking puts us in a little trap. And when you're out exploring consciousness, Bob Monroe in his books talked about having some really frightening experiences. But those experiences were later found out to be lessons that he had to learn. And, excuse me, fears that he had to put aside to realize that they no longer served him anymore. And this was his path to enlightenment. We are all on our own paths to enlightenment. But if that path, the quickest way to have that path is to have a regular meditation routine. And also at Monroe, we call it consciousness exploration. So you're seriously seeking in your meditations, not just seeking nothingness, which is a great way to heal and also explore. But we like to go deep in with intention. So the way Bob established that intention was he has this prep process about how to relax and how to put your distracting thoughts aside and how to energize your body so you don't fall asleep, because you're going to go right to the edge of sleep, went to the mind awake, body asleep state that we operate from. That's our baseline. And then we have this reball, this energy field, which we all have all the time. And that energy field is something that exists. And then we teach how to control that part of it. And this is where that catch comes in about protection. Oh, this reball would be great for protecting ourselves. And we try to say, no, that's not a good attitude, because when you ask for protection, we are constant creators. And that's our lot in life. Our imagination creates our reality. And when we start creating the need for protection, and certainly what we need protection from will come into our lives. So we ask people not to think of the reball energy field as protection, but more as a tool that you can use to enhance your life. And then that's an important part of the reball. And one of the things that Bob realized in his adventures was that you needed to have an affirmation. So before every exercise, Bob created this affirmation. And this affirmation stipulates what you want to do in your meditation or your consciousness exploration. And this meditation affirmation has 4 parts. And the first part is, I'm more than my physical body. Right? That's our baseline. That's what we want you to know. The next thing is that non-physical part of myself is what I want to explore. That's step 2. And the third step is, I ask for help. And he specifies that. He says, I ask for help from beings equal to or greater than myself, who have my own best interests at heart. See what he's weaving this intention so that the fear factor is just not there. There's no need for it. The protection factor is what I mean. And the final part is gratitude. I am grateful for the experience I'm about to have. So that's the beautiful part of how we express ourselves in these outer realms. And it's a good way to express ourselves in life. We should be all grateful for all the good things that we have. Excuse me. One thing I want to emphasize about that fact is, when you get out into these higher realms, you'll have these experiences. I've had several of them where, as you're coming back, you'll be in this like auditorium of beings of light cheering you for being human. So it is a very coveted experience out there in the higher realms to be human and to have that experience in your resume. So when you come back from all that, the affirmation ensures that when you go out into these consciousness explorations, that you will encounter guides and beings that will help you learn, help you remove blocks that are preventing you from shining your light brighter and ever brighter. And that's the whole intention of this. We talk about, before we started recording, we were talking about the craziness of the world right now and the impending election and all that. And I encourage everybody to know that, there's 2 sides. It seems like this duality is really sharp and powerful right now. But Bob one of his one of his sayings was that there is no good, there is no evil, there's only expression. So we are dealing with our own lessons in all of this. And the best way to deal with these lessons is to keep in mind that nobody needs protection and nobody needs to be saved or protected. We are sovereign beings of infinite power and infinite domain over ourselves. And the only way we give that power away is by letting somebody talk us into giving it away. We have to give permission. And we can always remove that permission. We can fix whatever we've gotten ourselves into by just having a clear understanding of where we are and where we want to be. And to come up with that clear place. And what that place is joy, peace, happiness, compassion for others. This is the place we want to be. And these are the things that we want to bring into our meditations, so that as we say these things to ourselves, we create that in our reality. And that's how all this ends. We just all, as individuals, think of peace and happiness and compassion for others. And then boom, it'll all be like a wave or falling dominoes, however you want to picture it. And this will have a really good outcome, because these are important times. I mean, we all agree that it's a very spiritual time, and there's a time of transition going on right now that can be fearful. It does look bad. It does look scary. But keep in mind that the person that's not thinking the opposite of you, they think they're right, and then you think you're right. And we both sides have to let go of that thinking and have compassion for the other. How many times have you been mad at somebody or hurt by somebody, but when you put yourself in their shoes, suddenly you understand why that happened? And the reality is, they weren't out to hurt you. They were just expressing themselves. They were just having a bad day or whatever it was. And that's not truly who they are. So that's the magic of humanity, is we are here in this school. And you can either think of it as some kind of horrible prison or as an amusement park. I like the amusement park view.
I like the amusement park view, and I love the concept of sovereign beings. That's what you were talking about at the recharge event, that we are sovereign beings, and we have to give up. We have to give something up to allow anything to harm us. We have all the power within us to not allow anything to harm us. So walk me through something that's very typical, right? So like in terms of somebody's progression into this. So as somebody awakens or goes along the spiritual path, they realize, whoa, there's more to life than I knew, right? This 3D planet, there's more. So there's a little fear factor. And then they start to experience different things. Like, let's say they awaken in the middle of the night, feeling something in the room with them, right? There's something here, and they're scared and they're scared and they're scared. And then they are taught, all you have to do is look at whatever that is, whether you see it or not, and just say, get out of here. You can't be here, right? A demon comes in my room and I just look at it and I say, get out of here. And it just leaves. That can be a huge, big step for somebody who has been living in fear, not knowing that they have that power. So now they have that power. Now they're like, oh, if a demon comes in, I just look at it and say, get out of here. What's the next step for somebody like that? Because I feel a lot of the people that I know in my coaching business will tell me, oh, I've learned how to handle negative entities and demons and remove them and do all this. And I think there's a step beyond that, where is what you're talking about. It's not creating them in the first place. So how would you walk somebody through to that next step?
That would be the first thing I would say, is what are those entities doing there in the first place? You have a belief system that stuff's out there, and that scary stuff is there to harm you. So when you see something that's scary, you perceive it as a demon. You put this identifier on it that makes it a real threat to you. And most of the time, when something scary comes into a meditation, or as we like to say, exploration, it's a message, because we are so dense, and our guides are always yelling at us, hey, you got to do this. You came here for this. You got to get on it. Come on, time to get to work. And if you're oblivious like that, then you might have some scary experiences to reveal to you what your purpose is and reveal to you what you need to do in this time. What has to be started, because you're not getting the job done. And of course, if we don't get the job done this lifetime, there will be another lifetime. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry.
But all those guys are always encouraging us to get the job done now, right? Because that's the best experience we could have on this planet, is to live our true purpose. Yeah. So I would suggest to them to look at their belief system and test it. So when the demon comes, and I would also encourage, when you say the demon comes, to say, get out of here. I heard that emotional charge that you had, East, in that example.
Yeah.
I really would remove that and just really stand in that sovereign power, because get out of here means you're trying to scare it. But really, you want to stand in your power, centered in your power, and say, you're not welcome here. You're not necessary. You're not part of my experience. And that way, the message is very clear, and you won't be tested after that.
Is there any need to ask whatever it is you're experiencing, or the expression, what message do you have for me?
That's always a good thing to do also, but it's the first encounter. If you're really afraid, you got to control your emotions. And you're right about that, East. It's one way to control your emotions is to ask questions, right? Because that takes the fear factor out of it. But the first thing that I always do is, if something's really scaring me, I just say, I get centered. I just say, you're not welcome here. And if there is a message, then you can ask that question afterwards if it persists, I guess. But that's the first thing I would do. But like I gave the example in the beginning, if something's really scary, there usually is a message behind it, right? Mm-hmm. If you're caught up in, this is a demon that's going to attack me, I think the first thing to do is to stand in your own power and make it go away, or make it subjugate itself so that it's not threatening. Yeah. My wife always talks about these dragons that would come to her with a big snarling, there's spit dropping off their teeth, and there's hot breath on her, and then she would just pat on the head and said, it's okay, I love you, but you're not welcome here now. And they turn into like a little puppy or something, so that was lessons for her to overcome her fears, right? Yeah.
So the message would be, if we boiled it down, is there is nothing to be afraid of. We're sovereign beings. Nothing can hurt us unless we allow it.
Exactly. And being clear in our intentions is the key. So if you're saying this affirmation, but you're still thinking about demons that can harm you, that's not clear intentions. That's got doubt in it. So you need to work on being very clear about what you want. And I would say that about life. So I would always be thinking about good thoughts. What is your internal dialogue throughout the day? Are you beating yourself up? Are you fretting about what's threatening you, like bills or family problems, things like that? If you're constantly dwelling on those things, that's not going to create a good reality for you. And as I said, we are constant creators. So as we think, so reality becomes. It follows our thoughts. And the words that we speak really add power to our thoughts. So what we say out loud is the key. And those affirmations, if you say them out loud every day, and say you start your day that way with a positive affirmation for your life, that would add a lot more power and clarity to what you want in your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
So examples would be anchoring in clear intentions of peace, harmony, love, that things that may look like a challenge is really a gift, right? Other examples that you would give people to anchor to have like a better experience and not have to feel like they have to protect themselves?
Yeah, I would add the clarity part. Let me see if I answer your question accurately here. It might not, but I did want to say this. Um, our lives are constantly being challenged by different things, and especially in the material world. And if you add positive affirmations to what's happening in your life at that time, that's clarity. But then you have an overview of that peace, harmony, and joy and compassion for others. That should be the beginning of your affirmation. But then you can go into the details of how you want that day to go, that week to go, that month to go, or whatever's coming up. For example, we are going to put our house up for sale in January. And one of the things that we are working on and thinking about is how's that going to happen? All how's that move going to happen? And how's that transition going to happen when we sell the house and buy another house? Everybody's always like, wow, how's that work? But now we've come into realization that the consciousness of our house doesn't want us to go. So now we're thinking about little things like saying goodbye to our house now and starting to prepare this space for the next person, and assuring the house that the next people will be just as wonderful as us or better. So these are little nuances of creating our realities on a daily basis, let alone the overall, the way we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest having an affirmation. Some people would call it a prayer every day when you wake up. First thing in the morning is the best time to create, because you're still in that sleep state. You're just coming from sleep into wakefulness, and it's a good time to create things because your mind is operating at a really clean, good level. You're present. You got some good energy going in your mind, and you're
Yep.
not caught up in the daily routine yet.
Yep. And you can really set an intention for the day, anchor into that. And if and when obstacles occur or contrast or what you think are problems, we might want to look at them as gifts for growth. That's what
Yes.
I've been calling them. Oh, what a gift for growth.
For
I
growth.
get to grow here. It's looking at it like that. But to bring it full circle and bring it back in perhaps coming to a closing, I wanted you to share your wisdom on the fact that we are sovereign beings. I love that you said that when we're out exploring other realms, in many of those realms, they clap at us like, wow, you're so brave to be on the planet and to be a human and to experience all of this. We don't even know or see how powerful we are. That is also an underlying message of this podcast, this interview. And in that power, we have the power to not even need protection from all of the things, because there's no evil, there's no good, there's expression. And
Yes.
there's that spectrum of expression, and we are creators. So what do you want to create? Do you want to create a life where you need protection, where you're fighting all the time? Or it's up to you. It really is up to you. The more you practice it, the more you'll see that to be truth with a capital T.
Well, we all came here with an agreement to forget who we are and why we came here. And then we live this life, this human life, but we've got guidance that those messages are coming in. And a lot of times those scary things are part of that message. And when we learn to listen with all of our senses and not be caught up in the material world, yeah, it's okay to have things. It's okay to have relationships. It's all great stuff. but what is our real purpose here? And that's the real reason we are here. And that reason is being told to us all the time by our guidance through our experiences, through our nature, through the songs on the radio, through the birds and the animals in nature, and everything's talking to us all the time. That's how reality works. It's a feedback. So it's constantly telling us what the next step is. We just have to open our eyes. We have to clear that veil of unawareness and become more aware. And a lot of times the things that are happening to us are part of that communication, that part of that information that we need to know what the next step is. And sometimes we got to get hit over the head 6 or 7 times to get that message, right? But that's the real key, is to be aware, to really open up our awareness and know that anything that happens to us, we always have the right or the awareness to perceive it in a positive way instead of a negative way. Find that silver lining, find out why this is happening, and step away from the emotional part of it and look at it for what it really is. Let's face it, bad things happen to everybody for a reason. And sometimes it's beyond our comprehension when really horrendous things happen. But trust that on the other side, we'll all be going, yeah, I played a good part this time. I really made your life miserable. And you'll go, yeah, thank you. That was some great acting you did. But it's hard to realize in the moment down here when it's happening. I understand that.
Yeah.
But really, this is all a play. And one of the last things Bob said was that there's only a plan. And somehow this is all known on the most fantastic levels, what's going to happen to us, but there is still free will along with destiny. And it's our job to get it done this time instead of having to come back and do it again, try again.
I love it. I love
So
it.
that's the thinking that I've come to in my life at this time.
I love it. My friends, if you want to connect with Steve, he is, like I said, one of the lead trainers at the Monroe Institute. I will put I'm going to look at, it's monroeinstitute.org. I'll put that in the description of this video. I will be meeting with Steve in 1 month to go through the Conscious Presence week-long retreat through Monroe, and I'll be back to report the news on that. And maybe I'll bring Steve with me.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to experience the new technology that we have, which this course is based on. It's pretty fantastic.
Excited. I'm super excited.
Gamma-inducing synchrony is a pretty amazing state of consciousness. So I'm looking forward.
I'm there. These programs have been life-changing for me and for many other people. And so thank you, Steve, for taking this time to share this wisdom. And from my heart out into the world, I really hope this lands with who needs to hear this and helps you in the way that you're looking for, genuinely, sincerely.
Yeah, I hope sharing my thoughts was helpful also. And here's what from my heart: peace to everybody. And East, it's been great hanging with you. It always is.
You too. Thank you. Okay. Until I see you again. 1 month, I see you.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.